Accessorizing your home is a big topic. Today we're going to talk about just one aspect, tables, or tablescaping. I'm Doug Walker, and this is Roominess. Today we're going to talk through some simple guidelines for accessorizing tables, what some people call tablescaping. If you have questions or thoughts that you'd like to share about tablescaping, leave them in the comments below. And to get more bite-sized interior decor advice from my channel, hit the subscribe button. With a few exceptions, tables are useful surfaces in our home. They're places where we eat, write, set down drinks and snacks, or land our stuff so we can free up our hands. But they're also part of our overall decor. With a little tablescaping, they can personalize and cozy up our space. A few clarifications before we start. We're not going to talk about shelves today. Shelves are where we store and display our stuff. Tables are usually a bit more functional and are treated a little differently. Highly functional spaces, like kitchens and offices, may have some exceptions to these guidelines. And if you haven't dusted your tables since the millennium, then you should probably dust first. Yes, please dust. Some of you may say, I prefer minimalism. I like to have my tables bare. That's a perfectly acceptable option. However, I'll make a suggestion to you. In that case, you may want to look at tables that are more interesting just on their own. Without accessories or lamps to distract from them, you can use a table that has a more sculptural base or a more ornate top. That way, it can stand alone and really be a statement piece in your room. For me, tables are a starting point for lighting a room. So let's talk about lamps. How tall should your lamp be? It's a question of scale and proportion that we talked about previously. Look at your table itself and visually double the height of it. The top of your lamp ideally will be close to that height. For typical end tables around 30 inches tall, that will put your lamp around 4 to 5 feet high, which is perfect. So how wide should your lamp be? Again, look at your table. If the table is chunky, it's just big boned. It might look odd to have a small, spindly lamp on top of it. Use a visually wider lamp instead. If the table is made of a thin frame, you don't need to use a small lamp, just one that is visually lighter, like a glass lamp. What if your lamp isn't the right size? Do you have to buy a new one? Absolutely not. You can always cheat and make adjustments. The scale of this lamp seems small compared to my table. I compensate for that using a wicker box to give it height. With a lamp that's too thin, you might flank it with a set of vases to give it more visual weight. From what I see in online photos, especially of bedside tables, there's a general resistance to buying larger scale lamps, or lamps that are in scale with the size of the table. It may just be a fear of getting lamps that are too big, or it may be that larger lamps are more expensive, or maybe people just think a lamp is a light bulb holder and it doesn't matter. Lamps absolutely matter. Swapping out a lamp that is in scale for one that was out of scale can instantly improve your space in terms of color, shape, and added sophistication. So let's get to the accessories. For any functional surface, I'll suggest this general guideline. Don't cover more than 1/3 of the useful surface with accessories. That includes the lamps. If I'm setting a drink on a table, I don't want to feel it's in danger of being toppled by an avalanche of accessories. The same thing is true for the tables that you use less often, like a coffee table or a dining table. 1/3 of the space is just a general rule, but it'll keep things from looking too crowded. For accessory height, a general guideline would be to imagine a dome over the top of your table. If your tallest accessory is about that height, you should be good. Undersized accessories are a common problem. They suggest that you're timid rather than confident. Take this bowl on this table, for instance. The bowl is so small that it doesn't relate to the size of the table or the lamp. And that color is awful! I'm wondering if it is here on purpose or if it was accidentally left out yesterday. A larger accessory, like this clock, is closer in scale to the table and the lamp and gives a more confident impression that it belongs there. My personal preference is to use 1 or 2 large accessories on a table, rather than creating a vignette or grouping of accessories, which can seem contrived on a table. A vignette may be a good option, but how do you keep it from looking like a pile of junk?
Here are some guidelines to work with. I typically look for some way to anchor a vignette, a runner, a bowl, or a platter. It serves a similar purpose in creating a vignette as a rug does in a room. It's an old adage but true. Use odd numbers of accessories together. Use accessories of varying size. Create a visual stair-step pattern to let the eye flow from the largest to the smallest, or the smallest to the largest. Typically, you'll want to mix heights rather than line them up. Smaller accessories can be made more important by stacking them to create height and to highlight them. Use accessories with varying patterns, textures, shapes, and colors. How much variation you use depends on your personal taste. Color and texture also affect your perceived scale of an accessory. A bright, small accessory surrounded by larger ones that are dark and muted has more visual impact. The same is true for an accessory that's a contrast of shape or pattern. An unusual shape for an accessory creates more visual interest. When you're looking for a place for a very small accessory on your surfaces, make it part of a vignette. By stair-stepping the scale, you can lead the viewer's eye to the small piece. You can also put it in a small spot where your eyes naturally go, a small niche, or adjacent to a soap dish. Work from bigger pieces to smaller pieces. Create the general shapes and heights that you want with the bigger pieces, then fill in with the smaller pieces.
Certainly there's more to talk about with tablescaping, but hopefully this is enough to get you started. Let me know what questions you still have in the comments below. You can get on my email list by visiting RoominessTV.com. If you'd like to hear more about interior decor, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.